Coming up on today's show, rumours have been flying as to who is going to replace Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes. At the same time, Lewis has pulled his Extreme E team, and Martin Brundle has a solution to the boring carbon fibre liveries we've been seeing so far this season. Welcome to F1 Briefings. My name is Alex Harrington. I'm an FIA accredited journalist, and this to my right is Lydia Mee.
Hello, and if you like what we're saying, please do give us a follow on social media. I'm at Lydia Mee F1, you are at Alex Does F1, and while you're there, give SI F1 and F1 Briefings a follow for all the latest news.
Yeah, because we are proudly in partnership with Sports Illustrated, and we're on all your favourite podcast suppliers. It's been a while since we've done this. I feel a little rusty, but we're on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, everything. I said Spotify, didn't I? We're on everything. Let's talk about Lewis Hamilton. He made probably the biggest news ever in Formula One. The 7-time champion is moving from Mercedes to Ferrari for the 2025 season. But the question is, who is going to replace Lewis at Mercedes?
Well, obviously it's all kicked off, hasn't it? I mean, we all knew that was going to happen. As soon as he made that announcement, it was like, first of all, shock, getting over the shock, recovering.
Drinking.
Who is going to replace him? And obviously, rumours are flying. Alonso, you've got to love Alonso. He sees an opportunity, he's like, I'm going to just mix things up a little bit here.
He has become like the meme lord of Formula One. Like, how has this happened?
It's whoever introduced him to TikTok. He's now like a social media
guru
titan.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, first of all, he really used the Taylor Swift rumors. Like the first rumor of what, 2023? Was that like one of the first of 2023?
Was it 23?
I can't remember now, but it was so long ago, and everyone was like, oh my god, he's with Taylor Swift. And then he put up like a load of videos, and we're like, oh, is it actually happening?
Yeah.
Is he with Taylor Swift? He wasn't.
No.
But I love him for like just teasing us with it. It's absolutely brilliant. And now he's kind of doing the same thing with Mercedes. He's kind of teasing us with the things he said. He said, there's 3 world champions on the grid, but only one person can be world champion in 2024, which is true. That is how F1 works. I know that. And then we spotted his manager talking to Toto Wolff.
Well, they weren't even subtle about it. His manager literally was like, bear with Toto, can I take a selfie, please? Upload a selfie to social media. Just imagine, you take a selfie, you put your phone down, and you just know that you're going to carry on with your lunch, but chaos is kicking off everywhere.
Yeah.
So obviously, that's what happened. But yeah, Alonso is basically like, I'm the only champion that is available in 2025. But Aston Martin's my first priority, and if we can come to an agreement, then that's what I'm going to do. But if not, Mercedes is another option.
Yes. So people are saying that Fernando Alonso is plan B. And that makes sense. For Mercedes, that is. And that makes sense because, like you said, Aston Martin is right there. And Aston Martin could have a very, very good car this season. We don't know. I think it's a little premature for Alonso to be making those kind of moves where Mercedes are known to be struggling. And Aston Martin, yes, they did struggle quite a bit in 2023. Their development kind of went backwards a little bit. But they came back fighting. And, it looks like, we've seen the car now. It looks like they've got a pretty good car.
Yeah.
We won't know anything until Bahrain. But plan A. I'll talk about this then.
I thought that was like your perfect segue. I was like, oh, you take it away.
Plan A is the junior driver Antonelli. Now, he's been making huge waves. He's been people are saying that he's better than Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
I mean, take a bit of pressure off the poor boy's shoulders. He's a young fella doing his best, and he is incredible.
Yeah, he's skipping Formula 3, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's jumping straight into Formula 2. This will be his first season in Formula 2. I mean, could well be. I mean, the thing is as well, Mercedes have said that with Lewis going, George will become the number 1 driver. So that kind of in itself is saying that it's not going to be Alonso, is it? Because he's not going to come into a team as a second driver. Imagine if that was a conversation that somebody tried to have with him. Like, that would just be ridiculous. So it is all kind of playing into the idea of Antonelli.
Yeah.
And it would be amazing.
Yeah,
Very
I agree.
exciting.
To be honest, I kind of thought that Mercedes wouldn't do that because Antonelli is a very junior driver. But maybe they've looked at what Red Bull did with Max Verstappen, pulling a very, not immature, but junior driver from the lower ranks, putting him straight into an F1 car and going, let's see what you can do. The only thing is, as we saw with Max, there's a huge learning curve, not in necessarily driving, but strategically driving.
He did have to mature a bit. I don't think it's unfair to say immature in some aspects, because they definitely had to have a conversation to be like, look, some of these decisions you're making, like he's had to mature, and I think that has been the best thing for him, and then obviously it's paid off because now he's where he is right now. Yeah,
what was it, like 2018 Monaco, where he didn't take place in the race because he crashed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was 2018, and there was this whole, behind the scenes, there was actually a conversation between him and Christian Horner, and Horner was like, Max, if you don't kind of drive at a more mature, sensible level, stop pushing those boundaries of your own driving, we're going to have a serious chat. And nothing at the time really came out about that, but since then, all this stuff's come out, and, they had to, Verstappen almost had to rewire his brain and go, okay, I'm not Superman. Let's pull it back, keep the car within its limits, and just be strategic. Like, you've got to finish first.
Hello, Will Buxton.
Hello. Like, first you got to finish first. You've got to finish in first place to win a race.
You can't win the race if you're not in the race.
There you go. Hashtag blessed. I think this could be really good, but Mercedes probably looking at the playbook of Red Bull right now, because they are losing the most esteemed driver on the grid. It must hurt. Toto Wolff must be thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? What are we doing right now? How are we going to fill this void? So maybe with Max Verstappen Mark II. I don't know. We'll see. Mick Schumacher, he's also, obviously, he's a reserve driver for Mercedes right now. He's obviously going, oh, yes, please. Yeah. But in more German accent, I suppose. But, he's obviously thinking, this is interesting. Like, this could be a seat for me. Don't think that's going to happen. I've got to admit.
I think it would, with Mick, if it was going to involve Mick, I think it would be more likely that Alex Albon would move up from Williams and Mick would take up his spot in Williams.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I've been thinking about it a while. I have no influence over the decision, but that's
what you think.
That's my mind.
This gets hundreds of views, Liz. It does. I think Mick Schumacher's time in F1 is done. I've got to admit. I think he's going to do great things with Alpine outside of Formula One. I don't think he's going to come back to an F1 seat.
The difficulty is that with this being a year where there's no new rookie drivers, the demand for a spot in F1 from kind of the drivers coming up the ranks, there's almost becoming a bit of a backlog because none of them have got in this year. So it's becoming more and more competitive. There's still only 10 teams, so only a limited amount of space. So Mick's had his shot in some respects.
And he's kind of missed the boat.
Out. But that's also, I personally wouldn't be surprised if he came back. But it's just very, very competitive.
Well, I think the thing is like we saw Mick join Mercedes, and it's kind of like the Daniel Ricciardo effect, where Daniel Rick stepped out of Formula One for a bit and he had that moment to reassess his mind, had that moment to look back and think, okay, what have I done wrong? How can I, again, mature as a driver? And maybe Mick has done that, but maybe it's only Mercedes that can see it.
But also it's like Alex Albon, isn't it? He had his difficult time within the Red Bull family, shall we say. He then he got replaced by Sergio Perez, had a year as a reserve driver, and now look at him in Williams. Like, there's been a few difficult years for Williams, but it's now really starting to take off. And I just don't see why it should be different for Mick.
Because Red Bull saw something in Alex Albon, and that allowed him to be put up into Red Bull, like one of the best teams. Mick was in Williams, and yes, the car was a pig.
No, he was in Haas.
Sorry, Haas. But the car was a pig, but he didn't really show any improvement, and he didn't really show. I don't think he brought much to the team. So when he left, nothing really happened. You know, he lacked experience. He obviously had a load of pressure on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And then, you know, bring in experienced drivers like Kevin and Nico, and you can see. Well, I mean, Haas is still at the bottom, but that's obviously due to the car.
Yeah.
But you can see that their driving
yeah, no, you're
is
right.
really good, and Mick kind of struggled. But I do think that was because he was with a teammate who didn't know anything either. Like, he couldn't learn off the likes of Nikita Mazepin, could he?
No.
Or you know, very difficult for Mick. I think he was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Definitely.
And now he's with Mercedes, is able to progress in Alpine as well. I think that's his F1 career coming to an end, I think.
Agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. That is why we have two people. Let's talk about Extreme E. Now, Extreme E is actually a brilliant, brilliant piece of motorsport, because what it is all-electric SUVs. They produce about 550 horsepower. They travel across the world via boat, not plane, because that saves, I think, 75% odd on their emissions. And each team has one male and one female driver, so it's incredibly diverse, and that is only a good thing. The issue is that it's actually coming to an end, which is very, very sad. And because of that, Lewis has pulled his team, his championship-winning team, out of the sport. The good thing is it is being replaced by Extreme H. Eventually, we're going to run out of letters in the alphabet.
Eventually.
But H stands for hydrogen, which is interesting because hydrogen is it's a fuel that we haven't really seen a lot of. I think there have been at least 2 models of car that run on hydrogen, both from Toyota. And I'm sure there have been some others. There was, Hyundai race car or whatever, which used hydrogen in a slightly different way. But hydrogen as a road propulsion fuel currently doesn't really work.
Yeah.
But if motorsport supports it, then maybe we can see it on the road. The interesting thing about Extreme E, and this might morph into Extreme H, is that there are huge teams in it. There's McLaren, there's Andretti, there's teams by Hamilton, Button and Rosberg, and obviously they're all kind of pushing for the future, and this is something that Formula One's been doing as well. Formula One's been talking about sustainable fuels. Even Stefano Domenicali, I think he was talking about like maybe looking at hydrogen, maybe looking at all electric. Formula E has kind of proven that we don't want an all electric form of motorsport.
Well, if you want them to be different, definitely not.
I think we've got Formula E. Let that just sit behind a paywall, and we can kind of ignore it. But this is really exciting because it's just showing that there's some kind of push for different fuels. And if you haven't seen Extreme E yet, it is ridiculous. They're like jumping over sand dunes, and it's just ridiculous. If you want something different to Formula One, maybe I don't know when it is during the year. I can't remember, but I watched it last year, and it was just unbelievable to watch. So much movement, and you get the movement of the suspension and the movement of the cars as they go over the sand, and there's contact, and it's just kind of like raw racing, which we're kind of missing right now in Formula One. But yeah, Hamilton has pulled his team out of Extreme E.
Do you think he'll re-enter into Extreme H?
I think so, because Well, maybe not, actually. Maybe this coincides with his move to Ferrari.
Because you'd think that the majority of those teams, if Extreme E is ending, they would just evolve into Extreme H. So why would he not just do the same?
Well, I wonder. So Hamilton changed his management, didn't he? And his management now focuses on his racing career, not so much everything outside of racing. Like, obviously
Mission 44.
Mission 44 and everything that is pushing forward. But I do think he wants that 8th championship. So maybe he's pooling his resources and just putting it all into his racing. I don't know. It's something that we can definitely ask him this year, but I'm quite excited for Extreme H. I'm quite excited to see what it does to road cars, but also other leagues of motorsport. We saw the Hyundai race car, which had the hydrogen engine. So usually road cars, they use hydrogen to create electricity that runs the motors. So it's basically like an electric car, but instead of a battery, you have a hydrogen tank. And Hyundai, I don't know too much about this, but Hyundai came out with an engine that actually ran on hydrogen, and it sounded ridiculous. So I can't wait. Maybe F1 could move to hydrogen. I doubt it. But look, it could be a bit fun. But what hasn't been fun so far this season is maybe the liveries that came out. We've been a little disappointed, haven't we?
For the most part, yes. I think not to just go straight into being a bit of a Debbie Downer, but the main letdown for me was Alpine, I've got to admit. It was the build-up. Like, why have you built up to have this kind of cool-looking pink camo design? Then you unveil the car, it's basically all black. And then they're like, oh, don't worry, we've got a second car. And then you're thinking, come on, here's the all pink livery. And it's exactly the same, but with no blue, all pink, but it's still, majority of it is black. And it's just, it makes it difficult for fans to spot the cars on track. Because let's remember, not all fans watching F1 are going to be like die-hard fans.
Yeah, like just to support that, with the writing we do on SI, there's a huge drop-off of page views between like December and January. So kind of the winter break. And that's because 90% of people don't actually care that much. Like
until the racing
starts. Like, we're nerdy about this. If you're watching this, you're more than likely very nerdy about F1. And you've been watching the car reveals. But 90% of people don't, I promise you that.
Yeah, and if you're just a casual F1 watcher, or, you just really enjoy the racing, but you don't go too deep into it, it can be very difficult to tell some of the cars apart. It was quite difficult at the beginning of last year, getting used to, was it Haas and AlphaTauri? That just looked so similar.
Yeah, both kind of white and black.
But now there's so many that are just have so much bare carbon. It's difficult. Also, it's just like, this is their moment to get really creative. They've obviously got all the sponsors that need to go on the designs. But like, I don't know, just do something interesting. The one I will say, V-Carb.
Who saw that coming?
That livery is so good. I love it. And that's how you should feel with all of them.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like V-Carb, I put something on Twitter actually. I think this is the best marketing.
Yeah.
Either accidentally or purposefully, a team has ever done. They came out and the first thing was Visa Cash App RB. And you think that is just awful. And everyone flocked to social media to talk about this. Everyone. They were angry. They were confused. The second question, what the hell do you call Visa Cash App RB when it's on track? V-Carb, Racing Bulls, RB, Visa, contactless, whatever. Again, it was another conversation that people flocked to social media to talk about. And then, the day of the reveal, no one knew what was happening. We didn't know what was happening, and we were covering it. We were there thinking, wait a second, I thought there was going to be a live stream or something. Yeah. Every media outlet was like, this is where you can watch it. And then you actually go into the article and it's like, I don't quite know yet. And then they released a photo And we're like, okay, this looks pretty good. But then the people actually in Vegas where there was the reveal, they hadn't seen it yet because the Vegas reveal had been pushed back and badly organised and whatever. So there was Chris Medland, for example, on Twitter going, I haven't seen it in person yet, but here's the image.
Cover off yet.
Yeah, and then you think, wait a second, the final Uno Reverso, the livery looked ridiculously good. So suddenly there'd been all this conversation, all this negative conversation, and you go, oh yeah, it looks really nice actually. And everyone, because everyone's been talking about it, everyone wants this conversation resolved with a beautiful, beautiful livery. And then there's the partnership with Red Bull. Yeah. And you go, oh, it's going to be quick as well.
It will be studied in marketing degrees in years to come.
It is a genius case study. Whether it was, like I said,
Intentional
intentional or not, I don't think it was, but damn, they did it. A good thing. Mercedes, I actually really like.
I love Mercedes.
I love the way it blends from the carbon to the turquoise to the silver. I think it's beautiful. You know, what a way to send off Lewis Hamilton, kind of like a blend of every car he's kind of driven. Like, you know, it's very Silver Arrow meets, well, you know, the black carbon, I suppose, which is the theme of this season.
Yeah, but they, I feel, have more of a reason to have a black livery.
Yeah, definitely.
And theirs isn't all bare carbon. Similar to Haas, I don't think that's all bare carbon. Some of the black on that is a wrap.
Yes.
But, yeah, it's just too much of a common theme. They all look so similar. A lot of them, which I find interesting, have done like the black nose with a coloured outline.
Yeah, which I hate.
I don't mind it, but not on all of them.
I don't like it because, see, there's the RB20, which we haven't actually seen yet. Likely it's going to look exactly the same, just slightly different.
People are saying that they think it might be an all-white livery.
That'd be amazing. They've done that before. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But I don't think it will be either. The Haas, yes, actually, that's like you just said. We went to have a close-up look at the Haas last week at F1 Drive in London, which is amazing, by the way. Good. If you like karting, go to F1 Drive in London. Just give it a quick Google. But the Haas is, you know, black, white, red. That's kind of MoneyGram colours, which is their title livery, their title sponsor. And yeah, like you said, a lot of the black was actually just a black wrap.
Yeah.
And I think looking at the car in person, it actually looks like they're one of the most wrapped cars of the season. Then you look at Aston Martin. They are, you know, again, a beautiful, beautiful car. And actually, Martin Brundle talked about the Aston Martin. He said it looked very classy. And that's because it's got that beautiful racing green. Aston Martin colours is not overly interesting, but it looks elegant and nice.
But they're becoming a little bit like Ferrari. Like, you expect them to have the British racing green.
Just like Red Bull, to be honest.
I'd be a bit disappointed if it wasn't there. The same as Ferrari. Imagine if they just were like, nah, you're all right, I'm not going to do the red anymore. Yeah,
I know. I mean, look at... Definitely. I mean, Red Bull does it quite interestingly because they have like a cutoff. You can see the cutoff in this photo below the kind of dark blue. Haas, a lot of that is black. You can see it's glossy. That is actually the wrapped carbon just in black. But then Ferrari, they've done something really interesting. Ferrari have actually... From the sides, it doesn't look, you know, it looks completely red. But then from the top, you can see that the bits that aren't going to be really seen from the side or the front, they're not wrapped. It's
carbon.
Bare carbon fibre once again. So they've done a really good job. It just goes to show, damn, that car looks good. It just goes to show that you can do it. But the worry is weight. Weight is obviously a big issue this season. And look at the Ferrari. You wouldn't think there's almost any bare carbon there from the side. It looks really beautiful. But have a look at the images from the front. You can see the whole kind of top of the side pod where the water slide is. It's all bare carbon. Now, Martin Brundle, our favourite F1 pundit, has said teams should be rewarded with a weight allowance for more complete liveries, which will stand out on track for spectators and viewers. The field should look dynamic. It's F1. Some of them looked glum and half finished. And he is entirely right.
I agree.
The one thing is I do wonder if some cars, or rather some teams, are removing the wrap and then the weight that they recover from removing that wrap, you could put it underneath in ballasts to lower the weight, lower the centre of gravity. I think that might be something that they're doing. It's a guess. But yeah, I mean, it's not overly exciting, is it?
No.
It's not like the mid-2000s where you get all the colours under the sun. And 12 teams for that matter.
Yeah.
But look, let us know down in the comments if you actually do kind of like what the cars are looking like this season. Does there need to be more paint or colour generally? I think there does. What do you think?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Lots of complaints, but we'll leave that for you to do. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like we said at the beginning of the video, follow us on Twitter and Instagram and all that kind of stuff at F1 Briefings, SIF1, and Alex does F1. Lydia
Mee F1.
Lydia Mee
F1.
F1.
Of the screen. You really shouldn't forget it.
It's at the bottom of the screen. I have a screen right here and it's at the bottom.
You also work with me and know my name.
Sometimes. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.